short on hand sanitizer, so is most of Portland. Hate to break it to you, though, that's not really the best way to protect yourself.
We'll wash your hands in time.
At the same time, we're in week 2 of the GOP walkout, but some Republicans are still hanging out in Salem.
By and large, it's down to a handful of districts.
Why? Well, it all has to do with where they're from. And later, this is like the one crowd you don't want to make mad. So what was the issue keeping Timbers Army diehards and other fans out of the home opener? Oh, and you might have noticed this isn't Dan's voice. Wait, where is that guy? Here's the story. Well, welcome to the story without Dan Haggerty. Seriously, I put in a request to change the graphics behind me, and my boss has told me to go back to my seat. I think they like me. Just kidding, though. Seriously, I'm not Dan, clearly. I don't think I have to say that. I'm Maggie Vespa. It turns out Haggerty likes his family, and he wanted to go on vacation with them, the monster. So don't worry, he's off for a few days, but, I'm here. Same team, same vibe, same important stories, and the same emphasis on wanting to hear from you. So tweet us, Facebook, email, do it throughout the show, and use the hashtag HeyDan, or if you want to, Hey Maggie, because that'll be hilarious when Dan returns. But seriously, we read them all, and we do our best to answer as many as possible. And now that my soliloquy is over, let's start the story. All right, guys, so first up, our big story tonight, no surprise, I'm sure, it's on coronavirus. It's all over the news right now, and we want to give you all the facts without the fear. So right now, from what we know, 6 people have died in Washington. And that, of course, is scary. But it is also important to know all 6 had underlying health conditions, and they died at the same Seattle area hospital. And these are the only deaths right now that we know of in the U.S. Washington also has 18 presumptive cases of the virus, and presumptive means that they're still waiting for the official CDC test results. Most are connected to a possible outbreak at a nursing home. Oregon, for its part, has 3 presumptive cases and 2 who live in the same home in Washington County, and then the third person lives in Umatilla County. So something else that we don't think is being explained enough is what this disease actually does to your body. So now, let's break that down. A study from the Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows about 80% of people who get coronavirus have mild symptoms. That means a runny nose, a dry cough, and a mild fever, kind of like a cold. About 15% develop severe symptoms, meaning pneumonia, and that's what's leading to people being hospitalized or even dying. Pneumonia can cause difficulty breathing and is, of course, worse for more vulnerable populations. In about 5% of cases, the pneumonia can lead to septic shock or organ failure. It's also worth noting that, as far as we know, the death rate for this disease is a little over 2%. That's higher than the death rate for the flu, which is about 0.1%. All right, so again, we know a lot of this sounds scary, but health officials say you should not panic. They don't want you to panic. They say if you're mild or even moderately sick with coronavirus, there is a good chance it'll get better on its own. And you might have also seen the big news that broke on Friday. One of Oregon's coronavirus patients works at Forest Hills Elementary School in Lake Oswego. So right now, it is closed until Thursday for deep cleaning. That's video of those crews doing that cleaning this morning. We've actually heard other districts are also making plans in case students can't come to school flat out and they have to learn online and from home. And as if that's not scary and stressful enough for kids and their parents, one district is also having to worry about a byproduct of all this coronavirus coverage, and that's racism. Portland Public Schools says they are aware of reports that some Asian students were targeted and discriminated against because of the disease, which was first detected in China. They say misinformation and fear 100% surrounding this outbreak caused this xenophobia. And those are factors that we're really trying to combat here. We want to give you the facts instead of just spreading more fear and anxiety. And we also, of course, agree with the district that this and, frankly, racism of any kind is repulsive and unacceptable. Now, ironically, you would think kids and their families could get a break from all of that fear via spring break, but traveling amid this outbreak just adds a whole other layer of anxiety, which got Kyle Aboshi asking if you wanted to, could you get your money back?
With spring break only weeks away, many families are thinking about their vacation plans. The CDC says right now, no need to cancel if you're traveling in the U.S. But it's a difficult decision. we don't know what the full impact of the coronavirus outbreak will be. So what do you need to know about protecting your travel plans? Let's break it down. First, your hotel, the most refundable part of your vacation.
With hotels, the industry standard now is a 48-hour cancellation notice, but that can vary by hotel to hotel. Some will let you cancel or change your plans up to 24 hours before you arrive. Others require more time, maybe 72 hours or more. So
according to Marie Dodds of AAA Oregon and Idaho, if you decide to cancel your hotel reservation, most national chains will refund your money unless you paid up front for a discounted price. Your rental car also has flexible policies if you cancel early. Typically, you can cancel a rental car reservation up to 24 hours before you arrive free of charge. Then there's airfare. And here's where things get sticky because most passengers buy the cheapest tickets.
If you bought a basic economy or economy ticket, they are not refundable. Many airlines do charge a change fee or a fee that you have to pay if you need to waive those. If you need to make those changes in any way.
If you haven't booked a flight yet, check to see if the airline is relaxing policies. Many, including JetBlue, American, and Alaska Airlines, are offering to let you rebook your trip without change fees because of concerns about coronavirus. But remember, that only applies to new bookings, not if you already have a ticket. And there are restrictions in the fine print. Which brings us to travel insurance. For people with existing spring break reservations, should they be looking at travel insurance?
Right now, with the coronavirus outbreak continuing to spread, unfortunately, the majority of concerns that customers have are not going to be covered by a new policy.
Casara Barto of the travel insurance comparison site Squaremouth explains travelers concerned about coronavirus shouldn't purchase a policy for an existing trip because this type of outbreak typically won't be covered.
When we're hearing from customers, their main concern is wanting to be able to cancel a trip just due to fear or uncertainty. And unfortunately, that's not something that's ever covered by a standard travel insurance policy.
There is what's called a cancel for any reason policy, which means just that. It's expensive and must be purchased shortly after you begin booking. Travel experts suggest it's important to stay in touch with airlines or hotels. As spring break approaches, they may be more flexible in working to accommodate travelers. Hey, and one other protection, check your credit card. A lot of those credit cards do offer some type of additional benefit or protection for travel.
Okay, well, what about the sites that my parents use are using this right now, like Vrbo, Airbnb, like the rental but sharing sites?
Sure. So right now in the U.S., those short-term rentals, there's no refund. It's obviously could change. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a fluid situation, so really monitor that closely and be in communication with the host.
All right, different for every situation. Kyle, thank you so much. So at the same time, coronavirus does have plenty of people flying to the store to hoard hand sanitizer, and clearly some are succeeding, judging by these photos, kind of creepy photos of empty shelves at the Hollywood Fred Meyer. And if you're just now jumping on the stockpiling bandwagon and thinking, I'm just going to shop online, well, you can't do that either, because on its website, Fred Meyer is limiting the number of sanitation products you can buy per order. And also, Amazon is apparently straight up out of a lot of Purell products, prime or no prime. So how are you supposed to survive the great hand sanitizer drought of 2020? Well, here is a secret about something that is not out of stock. And it's that. Yes, it is the sink in your home that presumably has running water and good old-fashioned soap. And we're not just being sarcastic or sassy for the sake of sarcasm and sass. Washing your hands properly is the best way, doctors say, to keep from getting the virus. It's better than hand sanitizer. Don't just take it from us. Here are the official guidelines on the CDC's website. Note how hand sanitizer is only recommended if soap and water are not readily available. All right, so the gist here is that people are afraid, and we totally get that. But experts say there is no need to panic at this point, and the best thing that you can do for yourself and your family is wash your hands. And actually, it's something that Washingtonians learned in a very mature and normal way during the flu season in 2012. Take a look.
We love soap so much we scrub for fun. We don't wash your hands in time. This is the state of the evergreen and impeccable hygiene. We love it when our hands are clean.
Wash Your Handsingtonians are always friendly and germ-free. They love to give high fibers, not high fevers.
We cover our coughs.
See? Different virus, same jingle. Wow. Keep sending us coronavirus questions using the hashtag HeyDan, or you can use Hey Maggie, whatever. We'll look at both of them. You can also email them. We do read every single one. We promise. All right, so if you're keeping track, we are now in week 2 of the Republican walkout over cap and trade. And you guys still have so many questions, and we appreciate it. So let's look at some of them. Carla Fox emailed us and said, is there a place we can go to see if our state rep or senator has left the state? We'd like to email ours and tell them to get back to work and stop this nonsense. Good question. There actually is a great map on the Oregon legislature website. You can type in your address and then it'll show you your state senator and representative and how to contact them. We have a link to this at kgw.com. Now, Carla, as far as telling which ones have walked out, let's basically put it this way, okay? All Senate and House Republicans have left except for 2. From Bend. Senator Tim Knopp represents this district. It includes Bend and the surrounding areas going into the Cascades. There's his photo. On the House side, Representative Sherry Helt is in charge of this district, which is basically the city limits of Bend itself. So, big question, why didn't they leave? Senator Knopp tells us he wants to keep working on bills that he thinks will benefit his constituents.
My district has been very clear is they want me to oppose cap and trade, but they want me to do it in the building.
Okay, so they're outliers. What makes Bend different than the rest of the state? Well, our political analyst Len Bergstein says basically most of Oregon lawmakers come from highly partisan districts, meaning they're either very Democrat or very Republican areas. But there are 2 moderate areas. They are, you guessed it, Bend and Salem.
Those are the 2 areas of the state where there's the most political pressure, and the dynamics of the legislature are that those seats are probably up for a very big contest in the 2020 election. And so those may be the legislators who are the most susceptible to pressure outside the building as opposed to the pressure inside the building.
Yeah, it's all about that pressure. So now the Salem area Republicans, we mentioned both cities, they did join the walkout, but Bergstein says they're the ones most likely to be swayed to come back. And that would actually be the tipping point because both the House and the Senate only need 1 Republican to come back, and then they would have a quorum. The Senate needs 20 members to meet. Right now they have 19. The House needs 40 members to meet, and right now they have 39. So if just 1 more Republican on either side decides to break ranks, that would effectively end the walkout. All right, now the walkout, frankly, has put a long list of bills that have nothing to do with cap and trade on life support. And that includes the one that Vanessa Sherrod is lobbying for. Remember her? Sherrod was part of our 3-part series Inside Oregon's Only Women's Prison. It aired last month. We called it Life in Prison because of the LIFE program. There were our 3 women there. The LIFE program is a business course that helped Sherrod and others prepare for life on the outside after their release. Well, now she is out and she's working tirelessly to get a bill passed that would fund the Family Preservation Project. It's another program that helps make sure kids can visit their parents in prison. Last week, Vanessa and her daughter, Sophia, right there, visited state legislators to talk about why that program helped their family so much.
Now that I'm home, I can see all the work that was done, and having this beautiful support system that has been put together and helped transition and helped my kids and keep my kids at the focal point the whole time, from beginning to end.
Yeah, she was tireless that day. She just went door to door. So for some perspective, the Family Preservation Project has been around in Oregon since 2010. And in that decade, it's only lost its funding once. And that was last year when the last GOP walkout killed this same bill. The YWCA took over, but they're hoping state lawmakers can, in their minds, get it together and get the Family Preservation Project back on track. And at the same time, Vanessa deserves a shout out. She texted me these pics of her weekend, which by the appearances was awesome. She was honored by the ACLU and she spoke at the Rotary Club. And it looks like, look at her with Governor Brown. There she is. It looks like things are going great for her and we're so psyched. Vanessa, congrats and keep up the hard work. Here's one way to fight climate change. Just stop all industrial production. Laugh all you want, but wait until you see the impact it's actually having in China. And speaking of, ever heard of the choice of evils defense? Environmental activists are using it in court in Portland, and if it works, it'll be a massive deal. All that when the story continues. All right, y'all know this, but we have talked a lot about the coronavirus tonight and all the scary impacts of it. Well, in doing our research, we also found another sort of byproduct that's not scary at all. Check out these pollution maps of China. They show huge improvements in air quality in the last month because that's how long it's been since the virus closed factories and basically forced people to stay home. It's like before and after pictures of a smoker's lungs or something. I mean, it's insane. Thankfully, Matt Zaffino is here to talk about this in much smarter terms than I just did. Hey, Matt.
No, you did a good job of it. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, and this is imagery from the European Space Agency's satellite that measures nitrous dioxide, NO2.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I get it now.
So, no, good. I'm glad that helped. But it is interesting because we've never seen drop-offs like this that have lasted over a long period of time. There have been other drop-offs that we've seen in nitrous dioxide when certain events have happened. Like back in 2008 with the recession and the economic slowdown, scientists saw the same thing happen, but it was much more gradual, and they saw it in many, many different countries. This is the first time they've seen this, and this is measured in like micromoles per square meter, something like that. Don't know what it is. Just know this. Where you see the dark colors, that's where there's a lot of pollution. And then and this map was taken the first part of January, the 1st to the 20th. Then you fast forward to February 10th to the 25th, and there's virtually nothing on the map in terms of the pollution, nitrous dioxide. So it is the first time we've seen a dramatic drop-off from a very specific event like this because of the quarantine. I mean, that's really it. Now, there was also a component that is attributed to the Chinese New Year. Typically, they see drops in nitrous dioxide during the Chinese New Year because they take off the last week of January, the first part of February. So the economy slows down, the factories close, there's just not as many people out and about. But with nobody driving, with the factories closed down, saw this tremendous drop-off in the pollution rates there in China. And there was a localized drop during the Beijing Olympics in 2008. But again, that was only around Beijing, and it ramped right back up right after the Olympics. So this is a really unique event. Maggie?
Hey, Matt, that is super fascinating. Thank you so much. Well, hey, we're going to stay with climate change, and there's a court case in Portland that some are calling a huge victory for the climate, even though it ended in a mistrial. It all has to do with the kind of argument the defendants used. It's called the necessity defense. Here's Keely Chalmers.
We hope to see more of it.
Today, these three Portlanders are celebrating what they call a major win.
It is for sure a victory.
They're 3 of 5 protesters arrested for trespassing in the spring of last year. The group brought in a tiny house and a truckload of dirt and created a garden atop train tracks used by Zenith Energy. They were protesting the company's storage and transport of crude oil from Canada.
We fully expected to be arrested. We truly felt it was part of our strategy.
They were, and the case went to trial, which last week ended in a mistrial. 5 of the 6 jurors found the defendants not guilty, even though they never denied their guilt.
Never.
No.
We advertised it, actually.
We showed a video of us doing, of the entire action. The dumping of the soil, the planting of the garden, us out there sitting on the tracks. They saw it all.
But the climate activists used an argument called the climate necessity defense, also known as the choice of evils defense.
Civil disobedience can be justified if the threat of what they're trying to prevent is so great that their conduct is reasonable and necessary.
Portland attorney Greg Kafori was not involved in this case, but says the fact that the majority of the jury found the defendants not guilty.
It's an enormously important legal victory.
And he says this outcome could very well set the stage for similar trials in the future, where jurors can decide whether threats to our planet outweigh the crime.
Going forward, if other judges have the courage to adopt this defense, you're going to see a great deal more direct action against the most severe environmental polluters. And this is a victory for the Earth's lungs.
Portland soccer fever is back. If only Timbers fans could get in. Seriously, did your ticket to last night's home opener hit a snag? Well, you're not alone. And with the Olympics fast approaching, some athletes say it's hard to focus. From bans on protests to a renewed fight over abuse in gymnastics, the controversies piling up ahead of the games. When the story continues. Spring in the Rose City. Love is in the air. So is pollen. And of course, angry, drunken soccer fans are screaming words that we can't say on TV at opponents and referees who blissfully pretend not to hear them. It's lovely. That is assuming those angry, drunken soccer fans have tickets that work. Sorry, we're fine. Okay, here's the deal. So yesterday, Providence Park played host to the season home opener of the beloved Portland Timbers. It started at 4:30. We played Minnesota United. The final score is not important. We lost 3-1. And amid all of that, there was a dust-up over tickets. Normal digital tickets, like this one, were not working en masse. In fact, Timbers fans were sent to will call to wait and have this figured out. Staff said apps were malfunctioning, screenshots weren't cutting it, and tweets like this one made us sad. This woman saying that her son was having trouble getting in. So we reached out to the Timbers and asked what the who happened yesterday. Colin wrote the issue was with the SeatGeek app, which a lot of people use. They rebooted the entire app. It was back up and running before kickoff. He adds the one-time issue he hopes affected a few hundred fans. They're pretty sure this is fixed. And he added that no one missed kickoff, although their first IPA might have taken a little longer than they would have liked. All right, we want to talk now about the fast approaching Olympic Games and the controversies stacking up alongside it. Coronavirus is part of this, but it's not by far the only issue. So first up, gymnastics royalty blasting her own sport.
I mean, it's devastating. It's incredibly draining.
So that is gold medalist Aly Raisman speaking out this morning about what she calls a massive cover-up, one that she says is going to distract athletes going into the 2020 Olympics. Raisman is talking about USA Gymnastics' handling of the sexual abuse scandal that rocked her sport and shocked the world, frankly. So to recap, Dr. Larry Nassar, right there, the former team physician, is currently serving a life sentence for abusing gymnasts in droves. And now that his trial is done and months before the Tokyo Games, USA Gymnastics is proposing a settlement with athletes who were victimized by Nassar. The total payout, $215 million, according to the Washington Post. And this is key, it would also absolve heads of USA Gymnastics of any legal liability. And that really upsets Raisman, who says the situation will be in the back of athletes' minds in Tokyo.
It's offensive. It just shows they don't care. They're just trying to, push it under the rug and hoping that I think people forget about it when they watch the Olympics this summer.
So this comes months after U.S. soccer star and University of Portland alum Megan Rapinoe made headlines with this post. It's a famous picture from the 1968 games showing two black American athletes raising black gloved fists, a symbol then for black power, of course. She did this in protest of a ban on protesting. That ban came down in January from the International Olympic Committee, and it banned athletes from making political statements or gestures of any kind while on the field of play and in other settings at the Olympics. Rapinoe, who has been outspoken about politics and equal pay, said in a separate post, "We will not be silenced." Of course, we'll see what happens there. And then, yes, there is a little thing known as the coronavirus. And execs with the Olympics have previously said there are no plans to cancel the Olympic Games. But the executive board just began a 2-day closed-door meeting. And analysts say coronavirus concerns are definitely likely to take top billing there. So we'll let you know if anything comes of that. And we'll finish the story when we come back. Hey, we've been reading your comments throughout the show. You guys have been using hashtag HeyDan. We love it. Jeff on Twitter wanted to know about coronavirus. You said, have there been any children with the COVID-19 virus? That's a great question. Yes, there have, health experts say, but they also say they tend to not get it severely. It tends to not be as dangerous or deadly for kids, although they have to do more research on that definitively. But we have an article at kgw.com. Barbara, which is apparently a burner account for my mom, says, need more Maggie, I miss you on weekends. Thank you, Mom /Barbara. And then we got a tweet from hashtag HeyDan. How do you know that all these Timbers fans were drunken? Doesn't that seem a bit hyperbolic? We did not say they were all drunken. We said there were some drunken soccer fans, and I know that because I've been to a game, okay? There it is. That's the way to stick the landing at the end of the story. Laurel Porter is standing by with the news at 6:30.